I'm Eugene Andersen. I was born in New York City. My grandparents, one was from Odessa and one was from Minsk, and they came to this country. My mother was born here. My grandparents spoke Russian, and so did my mother, and until I lost my grandfather and grandmother, we lived in a neighborhood that was ethnically Russian, Polish, Ukrainian, all through what was the old Russia. And then they started, well, like everybody else, passing away. I lost my knowledge of Russian because the only people speaking it would have been my mother and my grandmother. And then when I lost my grandmother, I was already in junior high school, so I lost all the Russian that I knew because all we did then was speak English, so I missed it. I've tried for a long time. I've even got a briefcase that has Russian in with the old tapes and everything. But right now, at my age, I really wish there was a way to get somebody that might hypnotize me, take me back to when I was speaking Russian, and gradually bring me forward. Mother was part of the church on 59 East 2nd Street. So I was there outside of school. We had the Russian service, and we had the English service at 8 o'clock. The Russian service started at 9:30. I remember our priest was Father Krida, who I got to know very well. I didn't really work as an altar boy, but I helped around the church too. I went to junior high school 64 and Seward Park High School. I worked in a bank for a while. Then after the bank, I went in the Navy. I was in the Navy from 57 to the near end of 64. Came out, worked in a hotel for a while, then I went back to the bank. And from the bank, I went to Eastern Airlines, which I worked at the reservation center in New York. I worked at Kennedy Airport during the big snowstorms in the 70s. And then I came down to Florida in 77. left the airline in '82. I was there for 16 years. And then from about '82, for about 40 years, I was working in the travel agency business. As an agent, as a manager, opened an agency in Laredo, Texas, worked in Jacksonville, came back to Broward County in 1995, and I've been back. I've worked in a clothing store, worked at Albertsons for a while, and for the last now 11 years, I've been working at what used to be called Impact Broward. It is Sophia, the South Florida Institute on Aging, where clients that need someone to come in maybe 2 to 4 hours once or twice a week to come in and help them, like we used to play dominoes, games, etc. And then I found the church a couple of years ago, and I'm doing what I can to help in the church.
How would you describe yourself in few sentences? Your character, your life, your career? What type of person you are?
I can't really describe myself because I am just as much for everything as I am, in a sense, against. I mean, myself, I'm pro-life because I do not believe anyone has a right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do about her body, especially the government. You stay out of my life, which is almost now physically impossible because the government is in everything. As for the rest, I've been trying to give back for years, because in reality I've taken more than I've given back. And anything that has happened to me, and this is me, I have done myself. Except for one specific thing, I am not an angel. It could be part of a devil, but what has happened in the last couple of years is my own fault, and I do not blame anybody but me.
You talk about some specific things or just in general?
There's only a few people in the church that know what specifically happened, so I just don't want it out there. I could use the help and everything, but that's not the point. I was on a destroyer for 3.5 years and went through the whole Mediterranean. We went to an island called Alexandroupolis, Greece, which is off the coast of Athens. We were the first American ship to be there. So I had what they call the old Polaroid cameras. And when we went on shore duty, I would go around and see people take their pictures and give it to them, and they'd look at it as if to say, "What?" That was a beautiful time because everybody that went on shore duty didn't really have to pay anything at the island because all my pictures of all the families and everything that were there.
So you're a little bit a photographer as well.
In a sense, yes, and I had many cameras, but then I've had some problems, so I had to sell. So I don't have any cameras or any good stuff left.
Do you have any like a personal life principles that maybe guided you all over the years?
No, except my biggest problem was not saving money. If I liked something, I bought it. I should have really thought about the future. And to be completely honest, Sasha, I really didn't think I would still be here at 87 years old. I lived in New York. I really didn't need a car. I didn't really get a car. I had one, but it broke down. So in New York, you got transportation. You can get anywhere you want. When I came down to Florida in '77, I ended up buying a 1970 Ford LTD convertible. And I loved it. Right now, if I could find something like that and had the money for it, I'd love it. I've had cars here, but that was my dream car, 1970 Ford LTD convertible.
I didn't know I still didn't ask you about if you have a family.
To be totally honest, I was engaged 3 different times while I was in the Navy. I didn't break the engagements, the mothers did. So ever since then, to me, it's the gentleman upstairs decision. He has kept me single all this time, so whatever he has planned for me, it's all in his hands, not in mine anymore.
What a coincidence. I had just asked how you were feeling and then realized from your message. Today is your birthday. Do you usually celebrate it?
I really haven't celebrated a birthday well, there's a young lady I know, we've known each other 20 some odd years. Every so often she'll remember my birthday. Last one I think I celebrated was about 3 or 4 years ago. She has lost in the last 4 or 5 years her mother, her father, and her mother. So when the holidays come, it's hard for her. Like before you came, she called and wished me a happy birthday and everything else, but outside of that, no, I do not celebrate it. It just comes up and I say, oh, it's another one.
All right, if you could give one piece of advice to the younger generation, what would it be?
Plan for the future. Do not do like I did, take it day by day. Plan for the future because you don't know what happens day by day. So if you put something off for 5 years, you don't really know if you're going to be here in 5 years. The best thing, Sasha, that I could say. I wanted to go to Russia, so I went to Moscow and what is now Stalingrad, Leningrad. And it just so happens when I went there, not Moscow, but Leningrad, it was Palm Sunday. And this is in the 70s now. And this was still when the KGB and everybody was watching everybody. I found out from the people at the desk, I says, I want to go to a Sunday service. You're American? I said, yes, I want to go to a Sunday service. They found a church, got a driver to get me there, and at that time I had a heavy white coat because it was Easter. Walked into the church, and at that time it was the women on the left, men on the right. And that only changed in the 80s to the 90s. I walked in, crossed myself, I was in the back. The service was going on. I knew the liturgy, even though now in my 38, in my 40s, and I knew, and everybody was looking back at who's this person in white, standing back there, listening, crossing myself when I have to, bowing and everything. I just did it all. Of course, didn't go up or anything, but when I came out, I saw someone and asked them for the pussy willows. The pussy willows, the long stems with the little buds.
Right,
I have some there and some by the icon.
Alright, yeah, okay, I see. Mm-hmm.
When I came back, this is when I was working for Eastern Airlines. From Moscow to London, London to Kennedy. I had the pussy willows with me. At that time, we used to have what's called the Black Gang. It was customs enforcement that if anybody came in with anything that, and the guy goes, what's this? I said, they're pussy willows. Well, they're plants. I said, no, they're not. They grow, you cut them off, and that's it. Well, you know you're not allowed to buy. I said, this is not a plant. It doesn't grow. You just put it in a vase and leave it there. Well, we got into a heated discussion, and then I said, could you do me a favor? Call your captain for me. Why? I says, I don't want trouble. Captain comes over, because now I had already been at Kennedy for many years. So I had been going back and forth to London and stuff, so I got to know, what's the problem? I says, Cap, sir, these are pussy willows. I brought them from Russia with me all the way. They're not a plant. All I'm going to do is take them home, put them in a vase, and that's it. I know we're not allowed to bring fruits, vegetables, and everything else. He says, you're right, are you sure? I says, I wouldn't be doing this if not. He says, all right, take it through. So I brought pussy willows in the 70s from Russia. And I had them for 10 to 15 years. I enjoyed working for the airline. I've been in France, Spain, England, the Netherlands. I've also been to Hawaii and Tahiti. So it was a good experience working for the airline, yes.
Do you have any hobbies? Did you have any hobbies? Photography you mentioned.
Yeah, photography for quite a while. I love westerns and everything, so I have a whole cabinet of DVDs, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, Hopalong Cassidy, all of them. And if I really had my own DVD, which I technically have, but it's that small, I could probably spend the next 5 years just watching these movies themselves. That's all. And I've got, as you can see behind you, albums, a lot, and then I've got close to 200 records in my bedroom, the 33 records. Like I said, everything I have is 40 or 50 years, and nobody is playing records. You can get everything digitally.
Can you recommend us some wise movies?
Well, the only one that's coming up now is The Life of Christ. I mean, Ben-Hur, yeah, it's a trilogy. When I grew up, there were movies that meant something. Everything now is a remake of what was 40 or 50 years ago. Just a small subtitle change, but it's almost the same thing. I could look at it and know exactly what's going on, and that's about it. It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
That's a life-changing type of movie. I love everybody at the church, whether I can talk to them or not. It's, especially with Marina, she's almost like family because she's the first one. I sent her the message to say I was in a hospital, so she was the first one to call me and see me and everything. And we've been close. The other one is Dina. I'm sorry she's no longer part of us, but to me, meeting them when I first came into the church made me feel at home. And that's the best that I can say, and everybody else, like I said, it doesn't matter to me whether I can speak Russian or know what they're talking about. The church is family.